call to order the meeting of the Mayor and Board of Trustees of the Village of Burr Ridge for Monday, November 25, 2024. What's your name? Can you say the Pledge of Allegiance if you had some help? Yeah? Okay, why don't you stand up here and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
You picked the wrong one.
Okay.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Trustee Francis?
Here.
Trustee Schiappa?
Here.
Trustee Pavesa?
Here.
Trustee Snyder?
Here.
Trustee Matal? Is not here. Trustee Smith?
Here.
Mayor Grasso?
Here. I will take us to item 3, presentations and public hearings. Tonight, we have a swearing-in ceremony. Chief Loftus, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mayor and trustees. I'm happy to be here tonight to present to you my next pick for Deputy Chief of Administration of the Police Department. Sergeant Garcia has been with the department since 2009, a graduate of Lewis University, and from early on, he's been very involved in training of our officers in the department, making sure we're safe, secure, and have the best equipment and training that we can possibly have. He was a member of the SWAT team and has used that experience to handle active threat and rapid response training for the department, the village, and many businesses in town that have requested the same training that we have. He's long been the department's firearms instructor and has always promoted the best equipment, the best training, the best services that we can provide for the village. I'm happy to present him here for you tonight to be sworn in as Deputy Chief of Administration. With him tonight is his wife Megan, his daughter Brooklyn, and his son Easton, many family, many friends, and officers from the department to support him. Chris.
Thank you. Madam Clerk? Not quite.
Do you, Christopher Garcia, solemnly swear or affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Illinois, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Deputy Chief of Police according to the best of your ability?
Well, a mandatory photo or two.
Well done.
All right, you guys can go.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Easton.
Thank you. When she gets a little older, we'll invite her back. That's what it's all about, huh? At the end of the day?
He's pretty funny. Bye.
Yeah.
Guess there's no public comment tonight.
It's not a clearer room.
No.
Hey, Lucas.
Thank you, thank you. We're totally unprotected now. Well, this board knows how to clear a room, that's for sure. All right, that will take us to item 4, the consent agenda. An item shall be removed from the consent agenda at the request of anyone trustee or anyone present at the meeting. Those items marked with an asterisk are considered to be on the consent agenda. A roll call shall be taken on the approval of the consent agenda and recorded in the minutes as an omnibus vote. If an item is removed from the consent agenda, it will be discussed by the board, open for public comment, and voted upon during the meeting. 5 minutes. A, approval of regular board meeting of October 14, 2024. B, receive and file plan commission meeting of October 21, 2024. C, receive and file plan commission meeting of November 18, 2024. D, receive and file CNH ad hoc committee meeting of October 23, 2024. E, receive and file economic development committee meeting of November 6, 2024. F, receive and file stormwater management committee meeting of November 12, 2024. Ordinances. C, approval of an ordinance amending section 3511-602-1 and section 3511-602-02 of chapter 35, the motor vehicle chapter of the Burr Municipal Code, speed limits on Chasemore Drive, Lincolnshire Drive, and McClintock Drive. D, approval of an ordinance amending section 3511-12042C of chapter 35 of the motor vehicle code of the Burr Municipal Code, stop signs on Lincolnshire Drive and McClintock Drive. E, approval of an ordinance granting a special use as per section 6F2C of the Burr Ridge zoning ordinance and an amendment to ordinances A 4541085, A 83424-98, A 8341403, A 8341105, A 83421-06, and A 834-24-12 to permit 2 accessory buildings at the subject property located at Z 13204 15W 431 59th Street, Hanson Center. F, approval of an ordinance granting a special use from zoning ordinance section 8A-AD to permit a medical spa office use in a B2 district, a business district, Z 162024, 16W 559 Frontage Road, Youssef. G, approval of an ordinance approving a conditional sign approval for a subdivision entryway sign for County Line Estates subdivision SO2 2024 intersection of County Line Road and Hidden Lake Drive, 2 Hidden Lake Drive, County Line Estates. H, approval of an ordinance granting a minor change to PUD ordinance A 83407-20 Z01 2020 to eliminate the requirement of a fence along the eastern boundary of its property. PC 14-2024 6101 County Line Road, King Brevier House. And I, approval of an ordinance approving a second extension of a variation from section 9C11A of the Burr Ridge zoning ordinance to eliminate the requirement for a perimeter landscape area on the rear lot line of a property and for an extension of a variation from section 4.1-2.2 to permit parking spaces within a required 8-foot side yard setback, V04 2018 150 Shore Drive, Petroff. There are no resolutions tonight, considerations. That will take us to E, under considerations, approval of award of contract for Parkway tree trimming to Winkler Tree and Lawn Care of LaGrange, Illinois. F, approval of the 2025 Board of Trustees meeting schedule. G, approval of vendor list dated October 14, 2024 for fiscal year 2025. in the amount of $487,796.91 for all funds, plus $228,875.20 for payroll period ending September 28, 2024, for a grand total of $716,672.11. H, approval of vendor list dated November 11, 2024 for fiscal year 2025 in the amount of $2,339,481.41 for all funds, plus $225,510.77 for payroll period ending October 26, 2024 for a grand total of $2,564,992.18. And finally, item I, approval of vendor list dated November 25, 2024 for fiscal year 2025 in the amount of $664,352.02 for all funds, plus $222,790.40 for payroll period ending November 9, 2024, for a grand total of $887,142.42. May I have a motion to approve the following items on the consent agenda? 5A through F, 6, C, D, E, F, G, H, and I, 8, E, F, G, H, and I.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion at the board level? Any questions or discussions from the public? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Trustee Francis?
Yes.
Trustee Snyder?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Skiappa?
Yes.
Trustee Beza?
Yes.
Trustee Matala is not here, 5-0.
Okay, that will make it, that will take care of the consent agenda. Just not need to make a note to myself. Okay. That will take us to 6 ordinances. A, consideration of an ordinance levying taxes for all corporate purposes for the Village of Burr Ridge, DuPage, and Cook Counties, Illinois, for the fiscal year commencing on May 1, 2024, and ending April 30, 2025. Evan?
Thank you, Mayor. As discussed at the October 14th meeting, this is the same levy that we proposed, and the board directed us to prepare an ordinance thereof. This ordinance would approve a total levy of $1,370,450, including $1,260,450 to go to the police pension for the village's payment thereof. While it is an increase in value, it's actually a decrease in the tax rate, so it is a tax cut in legal terms. Once approved, this will be enforced. This is in arrears again, that's why it's 24 to 25, but it'll be going forward to next year in 25. Be here for any questions. Thank you.
So there's 2 elements of this. One is the police pension payment, the other is the police protection payment.
Correct.
So all of this money goes towards the police. That's what the levy covers in this village. Okay?
Correct.
So with that, any questions from any of the trustees? Any questions from the public? Can I get a motion to approve the ordinance levying taxes for all corporate purposes for the Village of Burr Ridge, DuPage, and Cook Counties, Illinois, for the fiscal year commencing on May 1, 2024, and ending April 30, 2025?
So moved.
Second. Roll call, please.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Trustee Francis?
Yes.
Trustee Paveza?
Yes.
Trustee Skiappa?
Yes.
Trustee Snyder?
Yes.
Trustee Matala, not here, 5-0.
5-0, that motion passes. 6B, consideration of an ordinance amending sections 3510, 100.2, and 3511, 208H, and 3511, 1512, and establishing section 3511, 1600, motorized play vehicles of Chapter 35 under Motor Vehicles of the Burr Ridge Municipal Code, rules of the road regarding bicycles, electric scooters, and motorized play vehicles. Evan?
Thank you, Mayor. So this item has been brought forth at the direction and the request of multiple elected officials. I want to stress that this is a first draft and we are not actively considering passage tonight. I've talked to enough of you to know that I don't think we're quite there yet. So this is a first draft. Staff wanted to just put something down on paper so we had a framework to work from. I'll work through these proposals, and then police and I will take any questions and recommendations you may have for us on how to improve this. So just for one note, the purpose of this discussion, we're going to use the term pathway to define any sidewalk, pathway, walking path, etc. So if I don't use the word sidewalk, that's just a catch-all term. So right now, all bikes, standard pedalized bikes without electric motors, are prohibited from using public pathways in the village. So anybody currently riding right now on a public pathway on their bike, it would not be permitted for them to do that. The attached ordinance would continue to permit all bikes, including e-bikes, to be ridden on the road, because state law permits you to ride on the road in the direction of traffic, so we can't trump state law, but also then permit e-bikes and bikes to be ridden on public pathways, limiting their maximum speed to 10 miles an hour and requiring they yield to pedestrian traffic on public pathways such as walkers. The yielding part is part of state guidance, and that's where that comes from regarding the yielding portion of it. Additionally, a new state law which came out this past August sets forth the following conditions regarding e-scooters. And an e-scooter is a ride-along, stand-up, motorized scooter that you don't pedal with your feet. State law prohibits any person under the age of 18 to ride an e-scooter, and any person riding an e-scooter must keep it under 10 miles an hour. So that's the genesis of where the 10 mile an hour value comes from, is that specific state law. We would adopt the state law prohibiting the scooters on public roads while permitting their use on pathways, 10 miles an hour, and again, requiring they yield to any pedestrian traffic on public pathways. There's thirdly a category that we've seen other towns look into and adopt regarding motorized play vehicles. These are devices powered by gas, electric, etc. These are go-karts, mini wheels with skateboards you see with a single wheel in the middle, mini bikes and the like, kind of a catch-all for that category. This would restrict their use to public pathways, not permit them on any street in the village, 10 miles an hour, and have no age requirement for their operation. So again, bikes, e-bikes, scooters, and motorized play vehicles are the 4 categories we've proposed for consideration in our first draft. Violation of any aforementioned regulations would allow for, but not require, the impoundment of the device, meaning the police can impound it and take it to the police department, and may result in the issuance of a $50 citation, and we can enforce that through administrative adjudication. This ordinance would create parental liability. So a 14-year-old, as an example, if they were found doing this, we can hold the parents liable for any damage they'd have, any criminal issues regarding misdemeanors or felonies, or any fines we levy. We can do those at the parental level. And then finally, as I said, we'll be able to authority to prosecute any of these violations through the village's administrative adjudication program. So that's our summary first draft. Again, this is a combination of state law, what we've seen other towns do, and a combination of our own experience. We'll be here to take any questions or direction you have for us regarding how we can modify and perfect this. Turn it over to you, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, Mike, just put you on the spot a little bit. Do we have the legal authority to make the parents liable?
Yes. Yes.
That's all I wanted to be sure about. All right, let's take any comments, no particular order. Russ, yep.
Thanks. So I would, I'll be probably taking the harder line on this subject. My opinion is I don't want any motorized anything on our pathways. Way too dangerous. I just see a lot of risk of having anything motorized, battery operated, I don't care what it is, on our pathways. In my opinion, unless it has a valid license on that apparatus, whatever it is, I don't think it should belong on our public streets or on our public pathways, period. Let it be on our own private property, that's fine. But I really worry about some of these folks on these electric scooters, bikes, whatever they are, and not potentially hurting themselves, but having one of our residents pulling out and having one of these things get hit into it or damage or hurt. It's gonna be the resident that pays dearly from having some of these reckless scooters and electric vehicles out there. So I am 100% against anything on the public roads or on the public pathways unless it has a license plate on it issued by the state of Illinois.
Okay, I like your passion, I get it, I understand there's a concern, and certainly respect that, but I don't think I use an electric bike, doesn't have a license plate on it, okay? It can do 20 miles an hour. But that's permitted on the streets, shouldn't be on the sidewalks, I agree with you. But I don't think we could prohibit me from riding a bike in my neighborhood. Okay, I just don't think we have that authority. We can only do what the state allows us to do. We can't make it more restrictive. So, there's a lot of electric bike users.
Are you able to differentiate between electric bikes and e-scooters and hoverboards and things of that nature on the street?
I presume so, but that's part of why we're airing this all out and why we're not gonna necessarily vote on it tonight. My concern, I'm sure wait till we hear from because a lot of you have brought this to my attention and Evans, and I think we need to address it. I do ride my electric bike from my home in northern Burr Ridge to my office in downtown Hinsdale, especially in the good weather. And I have been passed, I keep it around 12 miles an hour, that's about what I can handle, okay? And I've been passed, I'm on the street and a kid, would pass me on a sidewalk in Hinsdale, doing at least 12, he's passing me, they're doing 15, 20 miles an hour on these little scooters. That's a dangerous thing to have on a sidewalk, and it's dangerous for those kids traveling at that speed on those types of devices. That's part of what I think we want to address. So we're suggesting that we're gonna allow motorized vehicles, if you will, or motorized bikes on the sidewalks?
I think, again, this is a first draft to understand, is this a yardstick the board is happy with? We wanted to at least bring up the fact that there are more vehicles out there than just standard bikes, e-bikes, and scooters that we have all seen here on staff with our own eyes. So, again, you can put it wherever you want, and if you don't like what we wrote, that's okay. So we're here to take direction and just
Yeah, well, I
suss
think
it
we
out.
need to air it out, but and then apparently parents give these as gifts, or certainly allow their children, buy them for their children. And I don't know where the supervision level is, which is, I'd like to hold the parent responsible for the thing you're talking about, somebody doing 20 miles an hour down a sidewalk, clipping somebody who's walking. So I don't know, but we just need to talk this through. Anybody have any comments, Tony?
Yeah, I understand your point. I run and I bike. I use the bike on the road because I'm doing about 19, 20 miles an hour on a bike. Doesn't have a license plate, but I'm not gonna ride that on the street.
I mean, you're not gonna ride it on the sidewalk?
I'm not gonna ride on the sidewalk, I'm sorry. The other thing with the electric scooters, I don't know how many of them have a speedometer on them to show how fast they're going. How will they know they're going 10 miles an hour? So I don't think many of them have that feature. So,
Oh, but some of them really travel.
yeah, they travel and how is a kid gonna know the difference between 10 and 15 miles an hour? I don't think they will. So I'm
And then
cautious.
it's the age. I mean, we're not talking about 14, 15, 16-year-olds, maybe somewhat we are, but I'm talking about 10, 11, 12-year-old, these are younger children riding at
Right.
pretty fast speeds on the sidewalks.
I understand, that our sidewalks are for walkers, runners, people with strollers, people taking breaks. So, I mean, that's something that we do have to covet. And I don't know how well that's going to mix with motorized vehicles on the sidewalk.
So we can regulate them, the state gives us the right to regulate. It's always that concept between regulation and prohibiting.
Yeah.
You know, the law doesn't like prohibiting, except when it comes to safety issues, really. But regulating, we do have more leeway. But to your point also, how are we really gonna enforce it at 10? I mean, you know, are we gonna ask our police to be, I think maybe we do have to for a little while to see what the reaction is, and then what are the parents of the community gonna say? And I want this aired out, so hopefully people will report tonight's meeting, people are watching. I'd like to hear from the parents who are buying these and have the means to buy the scooters. I've seen little go-karts, just zipping along at very high speeds, scooters, bicycles, and go-karts. But I think we recognize it as a danger, and it would be irresponsible for us to at least not consider what we should do. Anybody else? Yes, Rob?
I have some questions, I have some questions and then some comments. Can we age restrict e-bikes? The state age restricts scooters, e-scooters.
I defer to.
Chief?
Do you know, Chief?
Any source of good information, please step up.
There are 3 classes of
I understand the classes.
e-bikes.
Can we age restrict them?
The Type 3 bike is age restricted to, must be 16 to ride.
Okay.
Below that,
Can we further age restrict them? 16 to ride any e-bike? If you don't have the answer, maybe get back to us on it.
You talking about a regular bike or an e-scooter?
E-bike,
Electric bike?
yes.
I think it's 16, but I can look at it.
for a Type 3 e-bike, it is.
It's already
There's no age
age-restricted.
limits on a Type 1 and Type 2.
Can we age restrict the other 2 types?
And also scooters, and
The scooters, you have to be 18.
They're already age restricted.
I guess I better define my terms. I understand with the traditional scooter, what I'm talking about is a little two-wheeled with the, you know,
Yeah.
it's got a platform that they're
Yeah,
balancing
yeah,
on, that's
yeah.
like,
Like a skateboard.
it's a skateboard with handles
Yeah, that's
and a
the
front and back
e-scooter.
wheel, but it's electrified
Yeah.
and it's zipping.
That's an
Those are age
e-scooter.
That's the
restricted.
e-scooter.
That is an e-scooter that's age restricted at this point.
Those are, a lot of those are like your divvy bikes. A lot of towns, you can rent them and use an app and use them to get from one place to another. That's why they have that age restriction in the state law, but I think it applies to cities that are saying, hey, we have this slew of scooters, and to use one, you have to be 18 years old. And those, from what I'm gathering, cannot go over 10 miles an hour. I'm not sure if that's cannot or should not, if they have speed limiters on them. The e-bikes 1, 2, and 3, 1 and 2, the motors stop when they get to 20 miles an hour. The Type 3 can go up to 28 miles an hour and will stop assisting.
So can we look in to see if we can age restrict the types 1 and types 2, please?
Yep.
Thank you.
Noted.
I think that's right, because
Okay.
I know I've seen plenty of people who are well under 16 years old zipping by.
So if this ordinance is suggesting that public pathways would have a speed limit 10 miles an hour, how would that be enforced? How is that enforceable? Probably not.
Hard, not impossible.
Okay, would there be signage? Something to consider? I do notice in Countryside with their beautiful new pathway along Brainerd Avenue from Joliet Road to Plainfield Road, it has a center stripe down the middle. At every intersection with every street, side street, no motorized vehicle sign. So they prohibit it. So the way this is written currently, I could ride my gas-powered mini bike on a village pathway, which I think is unacceptable. Okay? My gas-powered go-kart. We don't allow that on our streets, whether you're 8 years old or 18 years old. It shouldn't be allowed on a pathway.
Totally agree.
There are rules of the road for bicycles. Okay? Click, Google Illinois bicycle rules of the road, and I'll summarize those real quickly. Bike riders have to ride to the right of the lane on a public highway, next to the curb. They can only ride two abreast if they don't impede traffic. There can be no more than one rider on a bicycle.
Thank you, Chief.
They cannot text while they're riding. They cannot pass cars. They must use hand signals. They must yield the right-of-way, same responsibility as drivers, and they must obey all traffic signs and signals. Somehow these rules of the road would have to be incorporated into our ordinance. I agree 100% with Trustee Smith. A parent's going to be on the hook if they injure a child, which we wouldn't want to have happen, for a child that has not been trained in the rules of the road, has not been trained on how to obey traffic signals, doesn't know how to make hand signals, doesn't understand shouldn't be riding on the wrong side of the road. There have been incidents in my neighborhood where kids have been riding on the wrong side of the road, and drivers have had to swerve out of the way so they don't hit them. I've seen these e-bikes passing cars in my 25-mile-an-hour subdivision. That shouldn't be allowed. The way this ordinance is written right now really doesn't do anything to solve this safety issue. It just prohibits it encourages the problem to be proliferated onto our pathways where it's currently not allowed. I would like to see a summary of all the calls and incidences in 2024 or earlier, if there are, with e-bikes and e-scooters that the police have been involved with. Have there been any injuries? Have there been any calls for service? I would like to know to what level the problem is. I know what the problem is in my subdivision, but I'd like to see what it is village-wide. So,
Yeah, and on that note, Chief, if someone could just find out what's going on in the other villages too. I see them a lot in Hinsdale, because that's where I go to my office, but I would suspect that this is not just a problem in Burr Ridge and Hinsdale. It's got to be in the other one. So I'd like to generally get the pulse of what everybody's doing, just to give us a little bit more benchmark.
Yes, sir. That's where we started with looking at surrounding towns like Hinsdale and Clarendon Hills. We've also experienced the problems that we're describing.
Okay.
but back to my comment about age restriction, if these drivers are under the age of 15 and a half or 15, they haven't had driver's ed yet. They don't understand yielding the right of way. They don't understand rules of the road when it comes to cars. So how could they understand the rules of the road when it comes to bikes? I think there's some accountability here by the parents as well.
So trustee, I've looked up a quick look under class 1 and 2 e-bikes, chief, and it's telling me that you have to be at least 16 to ride a class 1 or 2.
Okay.
So what your question, trustee Francis, was to lower that?
No,
But I mean.
No, but it's already age restricted, which
Yeah,
I'm fine with.
yeah, you'd want 16.
Yeah, because if he's 16, if a driver is 16 riding an e-bike, most likely they have a driver's license. Most likely they've taken driver's ed and they understand the rules of the road, understand how cars act on the road, whereas someone younger than that would not understand that. And that could lead to an incident or an injury.
And Mark, that's just a quick search. It could be, AI mistaken, but,
We will
I'll look at the statute again,
Okay.
so. But I thought it was 16 coming in here, but.
Okay, thank you.
My particular concern is not so much the e-bikes as it is these little scooters that can
Yeah.
travel at 20 miles an hour, and the what I used to call a go-kart, maybe they still call them go-karts, that they're riding on the streets.
Yeah.
Just too many of them. Yes?
Evan, I like the village administrator. So on pathway, no one can ride a regular bicycle, not an e-bike, a regular bicycle is not allowed on the pathway.
As of right now, no one can ride either a regular bike or an e-bike on a village pathway, period.
My daughter wants to go see Tony's son. So they can't ride on the pathway, they're gonna ride on the street. So I'm gonna have my 8-year-old, 9-year-old, not happy with them on the street. That's one. Two, I'm in total agreement with the e-bikes on the pathways, et cetera. you know, I understand no motor carts, mini bikes. I had them when I was over in Lamont, drive over to Burr Ridge. So I understand that too on the roads. I'm willing to listen to everything. The 16-year-old is great, but the regular bikes themselves, I mean, our families here want my son, my daughter to get to Tony's, and I don't want to drive them. So you give them a motorized bike so they can go a little quicker. So, yeah, so there's got to be a little more thought. I mean, I'm in agreement with 16, but what about like you put it, 9, 10, 11, and 12, we're doing 20 miles an hour.
Yeah, work in progress.
Work in progress.
We do want to, it needs to be addressed. It's not going to be easy to really define all of this, but I think we all understand that there is a problem, and I hate to use the phrase accident waiting to happen, because we don't want that to happen. But part of why we're on this board is public safety, and this certainly is in the realm of public safety. So,
One more question.
yeah, sure.
So let's say my son or daughter's driving to Trustee Schiavo's house, runs into a woman, knocks her down, injures her severely. Is it true that the way this is, that the parent's gonna be liable? Their child will be liable, so we don't have to reinforce that, correct?
There's a parental responsibility law in Illinois that parents are liable for willful and wanton acts of their minor children.
Willful's running into them by accident, as they say. Is
Right,
that
it's not-
Well, if they're going 20 miles an hour on a public pathway,
Just trying to,
I think
I'm
you
in agreement,
may
they should be liable.
have a good
Right.
claim, but
Part of what we also need to do is to educate the adults. I mean, people may just not appreciate the level of danger that might be happening. So in passing whatever we pass, we also have to have an education session, a few of them. Get out the word, talk to the HOAs in particular and the leadership there, and get the word out as to the level of danger, because it's real, I think. So anyhow, more to deal with. We're not gonna pass anything tonight, but I think the consensus of the board is we need to address this. Devil's always in the detail, and there's no bad questions and no bad ideas. Here's a good question. Go ahead.
On our village website, where we talk about e-bikes and e-scooters, Class 1 and Class 2 e-bikes, there's no age restriction. This is what the message we're sending out here at the village. So if you're correct, then we need to correct our message here on the village website.
We will one way or the other confirm that.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Okay,
it.
thank you for bringing that up, Kai.
And Mayor, you mentioned safety. One of the elements you may want to consider is certainly with anything that's powered other than by your legs, you may want to consider requiring helmets to be worn. So
Yep, absolutely. Okay, to be continued, and we don't need a motion, we'll just bring this up when we have more information. Okay, that will take us to item 8, consideration of 2024 community survey result. Hannah?
Good evening.
Good
Mayor,
evening.
Trustees. This is a giant microphone. Okay. All right, thank you for your time as I present the results of our biannual community survey. From May to July, we conducted a comprehensive survey of Burr Ridge residents, receiving 473 responses, which is more than double our 2022 participation. The typical respondent has lived here for 10 years, they're 45 years or older, and there was an even gender distribution in our survey responses. So what did we learn? The respondents paint a pretty clear picture of a thriving community. An overwhelming 99% of respondents rate their quality of life positively, specifically noting Burr Ridge as an excellent place to live, visit, and raise children. So what does this mean for public safety? The police department received a 98% professionalism rating, with residents feeling safe across all areas, from their neighborhoods to the downtown Burr Ridge to recreational spaces like parks and trails. Additionally, the infrastructure satisfaction remains pretty strong, with 94% of respondents approving of the village's overall infrastructure quality. Residents feel positively about our water services and snow removal operations, with these core services consistently meeting community needs. The survey also reveals strong confidence in village governance. Residents expressed satisfaction with the quality and availability of information. They feel positively about the value they receive for their tax dollars and the overall direction of the village. And finally, looking at priorities, residents clearly identified two important areas for continuing focus, which is crime prevention and infrastructure maintenance. That's a quick snapshot, so I'm happy to answer any questions about these results or anything else.
Trustees? Any questions?
The work was this survey sent out to the people that work in the village?
This was sent out to people, to all residents in the
Okay.
village. So it's the residents' perspective on people who work in the village, whether they either work in the village themselves or whether or not they feel the people who work in the village like it here.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay.
The complete website, the complete results are available on the website. It's linked in our survey if you want to go on there and peruse line a little further. We just wanted to keep it high level for tonight.
Quick question.
Yes.
Did the survey break apart between the two counties? Or is it just all under the village of Burr Ridge?
It is broken down a little further in the demographics, so I can pull up individual information for any resident who says they live north or south of 55, and if they live east or west of County Line. I think I got my north and south right.
Yep.
You got it.
Thank you.
And so is that pretty homogeneous, no matter if you live on the Cook side or the DuPage side, or you live south or north of I-55?
Yeah, so this is the, in general, the average summary. I would have to pull up the exact information to say for sure, but in general, the feedback across all respondents was really positive. There wasn't any one person. I didn't notice a trend in like the southern area of Burr Ridge where, you know, they had any issues, or northern, et cetera, so.
Okay. That would be something, if you do detect, that we'd like to know.
Yeah, I'll go back and double check the data and just to make sure that I didn't miss anything.
Pretty nice.
What were you?
I was curious, what was the response on what they thought the value they had for all the money they're paying the trustees and the mayor? So just,
You know, we didn't ask that
just a
specific
joke,
question.
Just a joke. In any event, that's good to hear. It sounds like if it ain't broke, don't fix it, but let's keep doing the same thing.
Did you?
Thank you, Hannah.
Was there anything that surprised you?
You know, it's not included in the survey information, but one of the things that I did find surprising was how little people did not have a response for how the events went. So there was quite a few people where there was just no response or don't know anything about it. So to me, that means I need to do more to make even more people know about our events.
Okay. And you were pleased with the almost 500 responses?
Very pleased. That's 5.25% response rate. Most local government surveys are anywhere from 3 to 10%. So it's a pretty good response rate considering we did it all in-house and we didn't have a third-party help to do additional outreach.
That's great. All right. Anybody else have a question of Hannah?
Thank you.
Thank you, Hannah.
Thank you.
All right, that takes us to 8B, consideration of an Economic Development Committee recommendation to approve the use and expenditure of business district funds to install additional public safety cameras and to authorize the village administrator to enter into an agreement with Flock Safety of Atlanta, Georgia. And again,
So at its November 6th meeting, the EDC reviewed the village's proposal to utilize $450,000 in business district funds over 5 years for the implementation of a flock camera system in our downtown Burr Ridge. This project would install 17 new cameras and recalibrate 2 existing ones, providing 100% coverage of the Village Center property, substantial coverage of the Lifetime Fitness parking lot, and monitoring of the Lincolnshire Drive traffic flow. The 5-year project budget allocates $85,000 per year for the flock cameras and includes a one-time investment fee of $25,000 for non-flock technology, such as cameras for indoor public areas like escalators and stairwells. The Village Center ownership has agreed to partner with the village by contributing $50,000 to support this initiative. Approval of this request would authorize the village administrator, Mr. Walter, to enter into an agreement with Flock Safety within the proposed amounts. The committee did provide positive feedback on the proposal's potential to enhance public safety and unanimously recommended approval with a 5-0 vote. And I'm happy to answer any questions or yield to more experienced members for Flock questions.
Well, let's see what the trustees want to ask. Who's up first? Anyone? Makes sense, and want to congratulate the EDC for doing this. I think this is something we've been looking forward to. I didn't hear County Line Square. County Line Square chose not to?
No, we are working with them on another proposal as part of a larger package. So they are certainly on the way, but they're very interested.
Okay, because I think it is important, this has been one of my checklist items, to have cameras in the downtown. I think people feel safer about cameras being around. 20, 25 years ago, Guy, Al, you'll remember, didn't want cameras. They wanted, now it's completely opposite. So I think this is a very good development. Good. Next, so I need a motion to approve the EDC's recommendation to approve the use and expenditure of business district funds to install additional public safety cameras as described, and to authorize the village administrator to enter into an agreement with Flock Safety of Atlanta, Georgia, consistent with the discussion tonight.
So moved.
Second.
Any more discussion at the board level? Any questions or public comment? Roll call, please.
Trustee Snyder?
Yes.
Trustee Francis?
Yes.
Trustee Skiappa?
Yes.
Trustee Paveza?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
5-0.
5-0, the motion passes. Thank you, Hannah. That takes us to 8D, consideration of a plan commission recommendation approving text. 8C, oh, I went past 8C? I'm sorry. 8C, consideration of an economic development committee recommendation to approve the use. Okay, to approve the use and expenditure of business district funds to replace the Lincolnshire Drive pathway and install a crosswalk at the intersection of Burr Ridge Parkway and Lincolnshire Drive. That's why you were still standing there.
So I'm
Okay.
still here.
Hannah?
So at the aforementioned November 6th meeting, the EDC also reviewed the village's proposal to obtain $350,000 from the Business District Fund for pedestrian improvements along Lincolnshire Drive. Evan generously pulled up a map, which you'll see on your screens, of the proposed areas. The project consists of 2 components: replacing the deteriorating pathway on the south side of Lincolnshire Drive, which is in red, and installing a new crosswalk at its intersection with Burr Ridge Parkway, which is the yellow indicator. Currently, the nearest pedestrian crossing is located at Bridewell Drive. The improvements include upgrading the existing pathway surface to concrete to increase its lifespan and decrease maintenance, while the new crosswalk will feature additional lighting, pedestrian flashers, a refuge island, and ADA ramps in a marked zone. The village has already installed a temporary crosswalk with a permanent work to be completed by the end of June 2025. Once completed, the project will provide high-quality, safe pathways and street crossings from the south side of 79th Street to Lifetime Fitness, significantly enhancing the pedestrian access to downtown Burr Ridge. The project will require a competitive bidding process, so the final contract will come back to the board for approval. The EDC unanimously recommended approval with a 5-0 vote, with a recommendation to consider including traffic control measures such as stop signs at the intersection. And I'm happy to answer any additional questions.
Any trustee questions?
Yep, Mayor?
Yes.
During this meeting, I did raise my concerns on the pedestrians crossing north on Lincolnshire Drive, right alongside Burridge Parkway. That intersection there scares me for our residents crossing that street. I realize there's not a whole lot we can do about it besides putting safety traffic devices and pathways there. My goal or desire would be someday to have TCF property have that pathway so that our residents are not crossing Lincolnshire Drive right in front of Burridge Parkway. But I've seen that traffic coming down Burridge Parkway and it's moving fairly quickly and they take that right turn rather sharp. And I have fear for our residents crossing that street.
Okay, point noted. Can we stripe these in a way, and use the big stripes that make cars stop, right? If it's striped a certain way, the pedestrian always has the right of way. Cars have to stop even if there's no red light.
So,
I forget what it's called.
so in Illinois, pedestrians already have the right of way in a marked zone like that. I think to your point, Trustee Smith, having an additional measure beyond just the preponderance of law, protecting them in the form of a traffic control devices. Stop signs was suggested just as the simplest, quickest method to achieve that. But I don't think you ruled out any other solutions are being considered or offered as well.
Correct.
So just in the interest of completeness about your comments, Trustee Smith. Additionally, that was why we also decided to propose it on the north side of the intersection to eliminate the right and left turn impact there. There's just less traffic on that side of it. So we agree that there is additional, that's why we wrote down all those additional engineering steps that we wanted to look at as well, just to underscore your point about safety being paramount.
Thank you.
So we are going to look at not just the minimum here, but some more, some additional.
Oh, yes, for sure.
Okay, good.
100%.
Great, agree with that. My question, and anybody else have a question? Yes, Guy?
I have some comments. Is it okay for comments?
Yeah. sure.
Okay. So if my fellow board members recall, last April, we had 2 middle school children come in here and ask for some additional safety measures on Burridge Parkway where Lincolnshire intersects so that they could cross Burridge Parkway safely to get to and from the village center. So this is a big step forward in providing those safety enhancements. I agree with Trustee Smith about the crosswalk on Lincolnshire Drive at Burridge Parkway. The cars going northbound on Burridge Parkway, turning east on Lincolnshire Drive, come through that intersection rather quickly, don't have time to slow down. There have been a lot of near misses there. There's also some trees there also that may be aiding and screening the visibility of the drivers. Maybe those can be looked at and see if they can be modified in some way or removed. I hate taking trees out, but in the interest of safety of the residents, it's what we have to do. Also, the speed limit on Burridge Parkway, I believe, is 25 miles an hour, and that may need to be looked at as well as far as for enforcement. Quite often I'm going 20 or 25 miles an hour and I'm past at an excessive rate of speed, so that concerns me as well. So I'm glad to see there's steps in the right direction, but I don't think this is the end of it.
No,
So,
I
thank
think
you.
it is the beginning. Thank you for those comments. Anyone else? I have just a question. The red line that goes by Pace Bus, that connection, I'm told, I ran into one of the Pace people on the board, and he told me that they're hoping to do some major reconfiguring of this. So I wouldn't want to spend money that they're going to end up ripping up, but just keep that in mind. Do you have any
So-
sense, is my information wrong?
No,
or-
I don't think your information's wrong. I think the important thing to note is that, there's just only so much frontage of concrete we'd have to put in there. If we ended up having to do a little bit extra, I certainly don't want to do that. We'll reach out to them, but the $350,000 number, I'm planning to put with Dave more into the crosswalk than the pathway.
Okay.
The pathway actually will be the minority of dollars spent on this project at the end of the day, assuming we have to do some reconfiguration of traffic patterns at the intersection, if that makes sense. we've looked at possibly doing a road diet north of the street up there to take it from 5 to 3 lanes to make it even less wide, to make the crossing that much safer. So I think the point is you'll see it'll look much different and be much safer because it's better designed in just 12 months anecdotally. So I'm not as concerned about the pathway. I won't duplicate any work with Dave, but concrete's relatively inexpensive at this point. And I'd rather get something in that's safe rather than wait for pace, who might take a long time.
Sure.
We've been-
That
we've
was
been
my
waiting
only
a while
question.
Already.
Second?
I think we've been waiting a while for.
Yeah, and who knows? I mean, they say next year and
Right.
it doesn't happen, so. It's just a curbside comment by one of the board members, so. But if nothing's imminent, yeah, then we do what we need to do. Great. Do you need a motion on this?
Yes, this will
Okay.
be to release the funds, and then, as I said later, or Hannah said later, we'll come back with an actual contract that you
Okay.
can look at.
So I need a motion to approve the consideration of the EDC's recommendation to approve the use and expenditure of business district funds to replace the Lincolnshire Drive pathway and install a crosswalk at the intersection of Burr Ridge Parkway and Lincolnshire Drive.
So moved.
Second.
We have a movement and a second. Any other comments by the trustees? Any from the public? Roll call, please.
Trustee Snyder?
Yes.
Trustee Francis?
Yes.
Trustee Skiappa?
Yes.
Trustee Pavesa?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
5-0.
5-0, the motion passes. Now we go to 8D, consideration of a plan commission recommendation approving text amendments to the zoning ordinance related to outdoor dining Z03 2024. Evan?
Thank you, Mayor. So, over the past year or so, the board has directed the Plan Commission a couple times to hold public hearings on potential text amendments to permit outdoor dining year-round in the business districts, and that's business districts on a zoning basis, not a fund basis. Current zoning ordinance regulations permit outdoor dining from March 1 to November 1. Outside of these dates, we're going to call the off-season. Restaurants with outdoor dining may petition the village to enclose or otherwise modify their outdoor dining areas via a special use. And there's no specific guidance at this point as to what could be or would not be considered under those special uses. It intentionally leaves it open and vague. So Johnny Cabs and the Capri Express came in this past year and said we'd like to enclose them. They had very different visions of how they wanted to accomplish that. The Plan Commission returned 10 amendments they recommended to quantify how they would do that. The board essentially said almost unanimously these don't work for some reason or another. There were discussions of cost, quality, appropriateness in the first place, whether they're permitted or not, et cetera. Long story short, both Johnny Cabs and Capri Express have withdrawn their petitions at this time. So there are no restaurants actively seeking a special use for outdoor dining enclosures in the off-season. So at this point, based on the board's previous reaction to the Plan Commission's amendments, staff's recommending that the village simply withdraw its own petition on this case and ultimately let things be decided on a case-by-case basis in the future, because again, the zoning ordinance already permits individual restaurants to come in and seek special uses for outdoor dining enclosures in the off-season. Thank you.
That okay with everybody?
I'd agree with that.
Okay. You see the consensus? Do you actually need a?
Do we need a motion to withdraw?
It would help, yeah,
Okay.
for the record.
All right, we'll do a voice
a motion,
vote.
yeah.
Quick motion to withdraw the village petition to amend the outdoor ordinance, outdoor dining ordinance.
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Have a movement, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That passes. Thank you, Evan. Yes?
Comment. So as we're out of the outdoor dining season right now, of course, it goes from March 1st to November 1st. There are certain restrictions placed on the restaurant owners to not enclose their outdoor dining and also to remove their furniture. But driving by, I do see some outdoor enclosures that have been erected since outdoor dining has expired, and also a proliferance of outdoor furniture that is still in place, either stacked and pushed off into up against a wall or still out in the open or whatever. And, you know, it's gonna be 25 degrees tonight. I'm not gonna go outside and eat. my dinner outside, okay? So we're done with outdoor dining for the year. So I would request that staff, please contact these, perform a survey and contact these restaurants and make sure that they comply with the ordinance
Yeah,
as quickly as possible,
I think that's,
okay? Because in past years, these have gone on, and they've been stored out there all winter, or the enclosures are out there, and the outdoor furniture, when it's covered with snow and debris or whatever, it's tacky looking, and we need to clean this up, so, okay?
agreed.
We'll
Thank
get on
you.
that, thank you.
So noted. Okay. Any other questions, comments? That takes us to public comment. Item 9, public comment. Is there any public comment tonight? No public comment. Okay, now I want to then move to 11, which is reports and communications before we get to closed session. Any reports and communications from the trustees? No. Okay, I've just got a couple. With a lot of help from a lot of children that were there. Friday night, I presided over the Deck the Green. It was another great event. I hope it continues to grow. I want to thank Hannah and the Public Works Department and Dave's group for getting it all done. They came up with a pretty ingenious candy cane switch. I thought it was pretty neat. And so got a couple of helpers to help me, and I like that candy cane switch, so thank you for that. Another good Burr Ridge event that needs more publicity, huh? Okay, 2 more items. One, there will be no contested election in Burr Ridge in April. It's quite a testament to our village clerk and the 3 trustees who were up. Trustee Francis, Anita Mattal, who's not here tonight, and Russell Smith. So congratulations. I mean, that is it's a way of a vote of confidence, and this is the second, right? The last time there was no race for the trustees either. So that's not inconsistent with the survey results that you saw tonight. You should all take pride in what you're doing, that you have no races, 3 of you and Sue in April. So congratulations on that. And then because we were going to go into closed session, I do want to take a moment as the mayor of the village of Burr Ridge and on behalf of the staff and the board of trustees to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving. Hopefully we will start moving to a more genteel or civil discourse in this country. But one thing hasn't changed, and it is that we have a lot to be thankful for in this nation, in this state, in these counties, and in particular in this village. And it's important to take the time this week to recognize that this is still the country in the world that people wake up in the morning and want to live here. So that's a great barometer of what we're still selling in this country. We just maybe have to package it a little differently going forward. So on behalf of the village of Burr Ridge, the trustees, I wish the community and the business districts and the business operators a very happy Thanksgiving. With that, can I get a motion to go into closed session and adjourn to December 9 at 6:30? The purpose of the closed session is to discuss the purchase or lease of real property for the use of the public body under 5 ILCS 120-2(5), and also setting of a price for sale or lease of property owned by the public body pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/26.
So moved.
We have a movement, we have a second. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.